Hi, and welcome to a Sober Girls podcast. My name is Sherry, and I am your host. Every Wednesday, we get together and we talk about our journey in sobriety, what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. I've been sober for over 10 years now, and I realized that one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was just putting the plug in the jug and not drinking. I never took care of my emotional sobriety, did my step work, or was fully involved in the program until it was almost too late. This is my story, my experience, strength, and hope, and what life is like for me on a daily basis as a recovering alcoholic and addict. I am so glad that you are with me, and now let's get into it.
Now, if you unmute yourself.
Hello, test, test.
Test. Okay, we are good to go and we are recording. All right. Hi, this is Sherry with a Sober Girls podcast, and this morning I am meeting with someone really awesome, and I'm excited to introduce him actually. His name is Dan, and Dan, can you just pronounce your last name so I don't butcher it?
Milano.
Okay, it is Milano. Awesome. And he is the brains behind this app called Sober Together. And it is absolutely phenomenal. I've had a chance to go through the app and I have not checked in yet, but this is going to be a great way for people like me with social anxiety who have a hard time really wanting to reach out and talk all the time, just to let people know you're okay. So, Dan, why don't you tell me a little bit about your story and what inspired this, and then we'll just volley
Yeah.
back and forth.
Well, I'm not all the brains behind this. I've got some very talented teammates that are developing this with me. But it's an app in the App Store that's free right now. I have a history being affected by substance abuse. In that I was in a pretty gnarly car crash. I was hit by a hit and run driver. And my wife was in the car and she got brain damage from it. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. So it's definitely weighed heavily on me. Just the issue that we face as a global society of substance abuse. And I have my mom's sister who recently passed away was clean off heroin for like 15 years, and she asked me to write her like life story. So we were working on that through the pandemic. And I've been very close with her. So my personal connection to addiction is through my family. But I've worked as a social media and marketing and kind of app guy for my career. And we were developing this technology, me and my coworkers, who I've been working with for like 15 years on and off in different like digital ventures. We developed technology where you could speak back and forth via video, but it's not live. It's not like a live stream. It's messages. You can send video messages. If you've ever asked yourself, why can't I have video voicemail? Wouldn't that be cool? Like this is the closest thing to that. And we thought, well, what if we made it public? What if we made it so that people could create groups around video messages, and we could like organize it into threads. And so if they had topics that they were interested in or that they had in common, they could make communities around like video messages back and forth. That could be so helpful. So for the last 2-3 years, we've been developing the technology, trying it out in different like forms of apps. And we had this big open platform where anybody could create any group for anything. And hands down, the most powerful use case that we saw pop up from people trying it was support groups. Finding each other in times of need to support each other. And it started to bubble up through grief first, actually. So somebody had posted saying, has anyone gone through losing a parent, and kind of just poured their heart out. And that woman received so many video responses from people who had gone through the process of grief of losing a parent. And the way our system worked at that time, like, or it still does, you could reply to the videos with more videos, and then reply to those videos with more videos, and you can just keep going back and forth, at any time of day, whenever you're ready to keep the conversation going. And we saw conversations around grief last for weeks based off this one post, and it encouraged others to start sharing. And we're like, wow, like as a grief counseling like app standalone, that could be really powerful. So we started to look into like, okay, well, where are the communities that have support groups, but don't have the sort of this sort of technology in place, which no one does. And the biggest community that existed out there was for recovery in the form of addiction. So we created a spinoff app, and it's been the most successful and powerful and insightful thing we've ever worked on, all of us in our entire careers. It's called Sober Together, and we launched in the App Store in October. We put it out there for free. We want to see if people want and need this free tool. And the stories that have come out of it have been truly wild. And as far as, and not like crazy, like, but just like people have found each other.
Don't worry, we've got crazy in there too.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, basically, so the way that the current incarnation of the app works, and sorry if I'm speaking too much, stop me at any point if you want to ask.
No, go. I'm loving it.
But yeah, I am like the host now of this app. I had previously, been popping into all previous incarnations of this technology and, starting groups and keeping conversations flowing as like a community manager, moderator, growth person, right? But here, I show up at the top of every day as a video, kind of the first thing in your feed. And I just prompt people with a human face. We could have done this with just text, but the whole thing is just face-to-face people talking back and forth to each other. So I prompt people and I say, hey, welcome. Today is Friday, January 13. Here's what you could do. You can tell us how you're doing. You could share a story from your sobriety journey. You could tell us something you're grateful for or an insight you've had lately. And keep it as simple as that, and that's super powerful as like a daily check-in at just reminding people to do that. And on top of that, I've been writing questions of the day to just go a little deeper and have a big community topic that we all kind of dig deeper on. And so, of course, around New Year's we talked about resolutions, or on the holidays we talked about how those struggles go. And as we've moved into January, we're kind of looking at health and everything related to that. So the people have latched onto that, and we allow 5-minute long videos to be uploaded in response as like your check-in for the day. And people take the full thing and go, they go over like, oh, I went over, I had to trim this down. They take the mic. And so when you look at this, like yesterday, we had 67 people check into the app and like share how they're doing. And out of those 67 people checking in, 400 people sent video replies at some point. So 400 video replies for 60 people checking in, right? Imagine that sort of support. And you compare that to like a Zoom, where if you listen to all 400 of those video replies, it would take more than 400 minutes, right? You can't do that. And in a Zoom situation or in a meeting situation, when you stand up to talk, there's that pressure. I better have something good to say that's worth everyone's time. Or if I have something to speak up and respond to in that meeting, and to give them a little support, I hope that's worth everyone's time. And not everyone gets to say what's on their mind. Not everyone gets to speak, and not everyone gets to reply to each other and kind of just connect and support each other. This system allows that to happen, and so people are going deep. Like, people will take us on their trip for the day. Like, there's like a crew of people that like get up in the morning and take a walk, and that you can tell they're checking in and listening to Sober Together. There's a crew of people that commute to work and they listen to and check in on Sober Together. Like, there's a bunch of people that you can tell it's their routine and different parts of their day, dog walking and exercise, and wedging it into those moments where they're bettering themselves. So that was a lot. There's a lot more to dig into, but that's what I've been working on, and it's really powerful.
Yeah, that is awesome. And I actually had a chance to look at the app, and I do love the fact that you have tapped into, even as someone who doesn't battle addiction themselves, you have really gone out of your way to ensure that, number one, we in the community know that. Number two, that we in the community still feel like we have a safe space. And even if you can't provide those answers for us that we want or need, today's was how are you and gratitude, I believe. Was it gratitude?
Yeah, well, every day is gratitude.
And on Wednesday, give gratitude, support others, daily question. Okay. Yeah. So I haven't had a chance to look at the daily question yet today. But
yeah, go ahead.
It's really nice that you give a question that allows us as addicts to feel like you're genuinely interested, you genuinely care, and not only that, but you lead us to other people who genuinely
Right.
care as well. And there has been pushback in the community, um, where I've heard, and this isn't as big of a deal for me because I sometimes wear my recovery as a badge of honor,
Right.
um, taking out other people's anonymity. And I feel like if we are making these conscious decisions ourselves, that we are going into these communities and asking the question, how are you? Or what do you need? Or, what's the one thing in sobriety that's really surprised you? That's not calling out people's anonymity. It's saying, hey,
Right.
we are here for you and we support you. What can we do for you? And
Right.
I absolutely love that. And I think you hit the nail on the head actually on this aspect of things. Um, Sometimes we get into AA meetings that really the buzz gets going and
Mhm.
not everybody has time to share.
Right.
And
We hear stories about this all the time.
yeah,
And people are like, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, that's okay. And we get into these instances where we don't get an opportunity to share, to talk. And some days we just need, whether it's getting up in the morning and walking our dog and just kind of getting that fresh air moment and starting our day, or it's the opportunity to, I didn't get to share at AA and I really need to talk about
Mm.
this. And
Yeah.
it's not that we don't have people in the community here. It's not that we don't have our sponsors, because again, sponsorship is something I hammer hard on in my podcast. You
Mhm.
absolutely should have
We're
a
doing a
sponsor.
day on sponsorship next week or the week after. We're just going
Oh,
to make sure everyone
really?
opens up on it and talks about either the process of getting a sponsor, how many they've been through, how they connect with them, and or if they have been a sponsor themselves or have considered it and would like to and have questions about that process, so everybody can kind of share their wealth of information.
That is great, because I think one thing about sponsoring that we don't talk about enough, Dan, is we don't talk about sponsorships are like doctors, counselors, and jobs.
Yeah,
You have to interview people. Just
yeah,
because someone says they're sober, that's great. But there can be so many personality conflicts,
right.
and we don't talk about that enough. We talk about sponsorship, but we don't. I talked about it last week in my podcast. We need to
Right.
be willing to weed out the ones that are not going to work for us. And sometimes we're so desperate to be sober that we want someone to take care of us. We want
And
someone
wouldn't
to,
it be great? Yeah. And wouldn't it be great to hear like a dozen people talk about the weeding process, like in
yes,
depth?
and
Like
make
you
you
can't get
feel
that
less
anywhere.
alone.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
So that's every topic every week. And you're talking about anonymity, and we have levels of that. Like you can we ask you to share your first name and your last initial, pretty common in the system. But while it is video check-ins first and foremost, you can also choose audio mode. So you can, you still got the human voice and story and emotion there, but you could put up a photo and speak behind that if that's how you feel more comfortable. And then you're also talking about the questions and like revealing like aspects of your life. And if we do talk about something, like we're going to talk about career next week, work and finances, which all encompass this. But we make it very clear that when we talk about these questions of the day, they're optional. These are optional questions of the day, only if you want to open up to the community. And that's why we always start the day off with the basic questions. How are you doing? Do you have a story to share from your sobriety journey, and what are you grateful for? Just focusing on that for any day for someone who doesn't want to go, to share much about themselves, I think is just as powerful.
I could not agree more. I think that you have and that was something that popped up on there, and I thought it was very interesting. It does give you that option for talk or video. And I was like,
Right.
oh, now that's really cool, because what if I don't want someone to see my face, or what if I am using an alias, or what if,
Yeah.
and I think one thing that I'm not sure if you've come across it in your world yet, so I am rather curious. we have this whole new age thinking of sober curious right now.
Yes, I know a lot about it.
Okay, and for me personally, I find it very, very smally offensive in some aspects that
Yeah.
this is not a lifestyle, this is not a fad, this is my life. And so if you are thinking of the health benefits of quitting drinking, let me tell you, there are tons. But this is not some place, addiction and recovery is not some place where we just play around with things, where we just
Yeah.
see if Prosecco is better than Moscato or whiskey
Right.
is better than rum. And so, but we also do not want to discourage people from wanting to talk about their habits with alcohol
100%.
so
I
that
had someone reach out to me 2 days ago, on one of our TikTok account, and saying, "Hey, I'm just sober curious. Am I like allowed to be in this community?" And I'm like, 100%. And it seems that those who identify as sober curious or thinking that they are sober curious seem to tend to be younger. You know, that they probably haven't experienced the most adverse effects of alcoholism or substance abuse, but they may recognize that their tendencies could lead that way. And to me, what I reached out to that person to say was like everyone in this community who's actively participating is trying to cut substance out of their life, and working toward sobriety. But we more than welcome you to watch everything, because you're going to see people wake up and talk about how great it is to not have a hangover today. You're going to see long-term effects of how people are sharing, like, how it affects their every aspect of their life. And how could that not be inspiring? Like, absolutely, everyone should anybody could come in here and just be inspired by people changing their lives.
yeah, and you are really definitely doing that. And it's really interesting to see the the dynamics of people that are sharing. There are some people who are smiling and happy and just so
Yeah.
excited to be there. And then there's been a few videos, actually, and I've noticed kind of a trend where some of the gentlemen they're there, but they're a little bit more held back and
Mm-hmm.
quiet.
Yeah.
And I just love the fact that they're there and they're talking about it, because
Yeah.
we have this stigma that, males can't ask for help, or if males ask for help, it's only for alcoholism and addiction. It's only okay in this aspect. And this app has really shown me, there's one male in particular that I was just caught onto I think he's been sober maybe 3 days.
Oh
And
yeah. I think I might know who you're talking about.
I'm hooked on his
Oh yeah.
recovery.
You reached a lot of people really fast, and it's heart wrenching, but it's a great reminder if you're in long term sobriety.
Yes, yes.
Like, and that's what a lot of people who have been sober for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It makes it real. It keeps it fresh in your mind, and so that can be a great reminder. But yeah, saying it out loud is a big thing. I'm thinking about like focusing an entire like Instagram week on the concept of saying it out loud and how that just helps. And it's so different. Like, I think the reason why you might see more guys opening up here, and certainly like as they post from their first day, it's sometimes very reserved, but as they get into a rapport with people, they start to really open up in a way that you might not see anywhere else. I just yeah, saying it out loud is huge. And I think that people are more comfortable sometimes talking to their phone than a room full of people where you can see the reactions in real time. Like, think about that, right? Like, and you have to deal with the immediate consequence or feedback. Like, here you can say your piece, let it set it, and then you might get video replies throughout the day, but it's up to you when you want to approach the reaction to what you had to say. And I think that's very healthy. It doesn't force you into an intense situation right away. And maybe you never look at it at all. Maybe you say your piece, or maybe it allows you to on your own time, address people and address ideas and really think through it with like a bit of time to like pause and reflect. So hopefully these systems are coming together to really help people.
And I think that's really important too, because I feel as a social media consumer that when we respond to people on Instagram or Facebook or even TikTok now these days, even with 3-minute videos, people are quick to respond and leave their opinion. And it's not nice. There's a lot of not nice opinions. And
There's
that's what I love
trolls on
about,
TikTok.
oh my
Yeah,
God, it's
that will come out there and just be like, just stop drinking. Like, are you kidding me? It's pretty nasty out there. And so
it
to
is.
find, and so I think what's also special is like, this is only people in recovery here.
Yes.
And so everyone, they've all been through it.
Yep.
And there's no one here just to make you angry or to be ignorant.
Absolutely. And the
Dude.
responses to each other are sincerely heartfelt.
Oh
Like
yeah.
people watch the video, they hear what they're saying, they digest what's being said, and then they say, listen, this is my experience with it. Or, hey, I hear you. Or, I've never been through that. But there's actual dialogue
Oh yeah,
between
and emotion. Like
people.
try to get
Yes.
emotion out of a text comment response on Instagram. Try. Maybe there's some emojis to help you, but like, what are you getting out of that? There are Facebook groups for sobriety. They help people. You might have to see someone post and get 200 responses, 200 comments, but which of those will they remember in 3 days? Like when someone talks to you and you can see the emotion on their face and how it affected them, and they're looking you right in the eyes, and they're a real human being who you can get a feel for. They're not just an avatar or a name that you read one time. You remember them, first of all. Like you start to make connections very fast. And what's funny is now I go to other social media and like I just don't care about the comments at all anymore, because no one spends time in making them. You would do it in 10 seconds and press send. Here someone's taking the time to look at their screen and like talk to you like a human
Yes.
being. And
It's
frankly, I think that's what's
constructive.
wrong with all social media. And we want to take this concept and apply it to everything, but
Right.
we have to start somewhere that it's needed first. And this is absolutely a place where it can do the most good, I think.
Well, it really blows my mind, to be completely fair and honest, that someone who personally doesn't have the chemical issue of addiction can handle it and do it with so much grace. I think that is, I never would have guessed that you were not in recovery.
And I
You,
don't want to make it about myself is a big thing.
no.
Like if you see a therapist, there's no guarantee that
Yes.
therapist has been through what you've been through. I am not a therapist, and I
Right.
never make claims to. And I avoid giving advice at all on the app. It's all about empowering the community to
Yes.
share their own experiences with each other. And I think, and I've heard feedback that in situations where there are meetings with counselors who were previously addicts or are addicts, sometimes they make it about themselves and they
Yes.
will tell their own story. And like from my perspective, from my experience, it's hard to deny that, and it's hard to not speak. When you've got some experience to draw on. So I feel I like that I am leading this in the way I am, and just trying to back off and say this is about touching upon everything that your life entails. And
Yes.
really where I'm getting the topics from are the 400 video replies we get every day. So I'm taking notes.
That's
People are talking
awesome.
about their experiences, and I have now interacted with hundreds of people in this space, and I was a journalist in my previous life, so I'm very adept at doing video interviews essentially. So like I've worked for ABC News and Now This News. Like I've done some real hard hitting journalism, and I consider this one big journalism product. Frankly, it's everyone's journaling, and
Yeah.
I'm the interviewer. That's how I personally consider it, and I think it's gone well.
Yeah, I absolutely love the fact that you're leading from a place of love and concern and wanting to help people. And it's just a matter of all you do is say good morning, have
How are you?
gratitude, how are you? And
The
here's the
person at the
question
coffee
of the
shop could ask
day.
that.
And it's just, and you literally you let us talk to each other. You are just there to help instigate it. And there are so many times, and I'm sure as us people in recovery call you normal people, I'm sure there's things you wake up in the morning and you need to hear. And you don't think you need to hear it until you hear it.
Sure.
And that's the beauty of your app is you get people thinking right away or whenever they check in. I'm not a morning person, so I usually check in around 11 in the morning. So,
Right.
I also saw the reminder. The reminder is great. Do you
The
have people
notification.
utilizing
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
So yeah, when you sign up for the app, it asks you what time of day would you like a push notification reminder, right? Because everyone's on a different schedule. Initially, we were sending a push notification kind of like mid morning because we have a global community and it's really hard to figure out what time is best. And we did not expect this global community to pop up like it did. We literally have people posting from Australia, well, I don't want to name every country in the world, but it's all over. It's someone's in Spain, someone's in Argentina. So like what time works for push alert? So after a month, we're like, we need to let people set their own time. And now that's an option if you sign up for the app.
That
Um,
is
yeah.
awesome because I know like many people with shiny object syndrome, I get distracted and I forget.
Yeah.
And we should never forget about our recovery. In fact, it should be first. And
Right.
so for me, I'm challenging myself to get better about, well, I'm not going to check in at 7 p.m. because, oh, well, then it's 8 p.m. And that, so for me, it's challenging me. This app is challenging me to really try and be more present in the moment
Right.
in the morning. It's almost part of my meditation. Okay, I've done my reading, I've done this, and it really is just a way to have a mini meeting. And the reminder for me is to come back now in the evening, check
And
the
you'll find,
responses, and talk to people.
I don't know if you've followed many or any people yet, but
Not yet.
once you start following people, you get a push when they update, when they post their check-in for the day. So, if imagine your best friend just poured their heart out, with a 3-minute video, you're gonna check that out when you get
Oh,
that
yeah.
that notification, and it's an encouragement that now you should, this is your chance. Like if you've got the free time to check out what your friend's up to, maybe you jump in and kind of, share how you're feeling today. And so we're finding this network effect where people will connect with others and then they'll want to see what the update is. And they're like, well, let me like riff on that. It's incredible.
It really is. You guys are just, this has got to be one, there's tons of sober apps, right? Count your time, watch
Yeah.
your time, you
Download
know,
them all.
download exactly. Do you know I could not keep up with these apps, but
Yeah.
I am a very visually oriented person. I am a baseball writer for my big girl job. And so I have to see my game. I recap games, but I also um do lifestyle stories and stuff like that on players and, trade stuff. But I am very visually oriented. I have to see what's going on to be interested in the output. And so for me, downloading an app is like, meh, that's great. Check one, check two.
Yeah.
And
It's
this
frankly,
is
yeah. Like, how
awesome.
long have we been talking right now? We've been talking for minutes and minutes, minutes, right? And
Yeah.
there's all these benefits to our app that are like so unique. Try marketing it. It's so hard because every bit of it is so unique that I need to sit down for 20 minutes and show everyone how awesome it is. And people are so like they've heard about so many sober apps, their eyes just glaze over. So like, how do you show them like, no, we've broken the molds. Like this one truly is like something else and worth your time and energy. I'm working on it. That's, we're growing, but I feel like someday we're going to click and this is going to blow up.
Oh, I got it. I really hope so because I absolutely love it. And I really I'm going to be sharing. I have two social medias for my sobriety because I run a page for folks here in Richmond, Virginia,
Awesome.
as well. But I am going to be sharing this app as much as I can and videos on my daily check-ins and stuff like that. And I think this is something that's really important to the community. And I think you've hit the nail on the head with a lot of the things that the sober community needs. And it really is, you're right, with the replies and responses and everything like that. We are really the ones driving it. You're asking the question,
Yeah.
but we're driving it.
Yeah. It's the
And
knowledge of a whole community. Amazing.
it
Like
right, and there
video
is no
support. Yeah.
negativity at all. It's
It's amazing. It's
It's
hard to be mean
genuinely
to someone when you're talking to them face to face. Have you ever had a Zoom where people get angry at each other?
yeah,
No, like it doesn't really happen. Like it's hard to do.
it
Like,
is.
it's not worth it.
It is. I really enjoy this app. I think it is phenomenal. What kind of things are you working on in the future? What you said you want to do more.
There's so
What are
much we want
your
to do. Yeah.
things with it that you'd like to do?
Well, eventually it's going to get to the point where 100 people are checking in a day, 200, like, we want that. But what does that mean for the people that are checking in on each other and that have made friends or want to make micro communities, right?
Right.
And so certainly we're looking into like, okay, when is the right time to launch groups and let people do this exact same thing, but within a group of, 20, 40, or, however many, or maybe just five, like have a crew, that talks like this. Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the big ask. But we can't do that until we hit a certain number of people that just are there anyway, right? Because you can't launch a group feature when only 60 people are there anyway.
Right.
We will get there. We actually had groups in the previous incarnations of this app, but we never got to the daily users that like would make it super useful. So having one big feed with everyone talking about one topic every day, great for now. Later, having a group where maybe your group leader is the leader and the person asking the question instead of me. Great, let's spin off and everybody can have their own style of recovery, but still have that main feed where everyone can see each other open, kind of like TikTok, right? That's still going to stay. And then beyond that, resources, like hopefully we can help people get counselors and sponsors. How I don't know if you know how LinkedIn has the open to work setting where you can say like, I'm looking for a job right now, or
Yes.
well, yep. Why not have a profile saying open to sponsorship
or
my God. Open to sponsor? So you can, find a sponsor through this app. Yeah, it could be the best sponsor network of all time, right? So imagine getting that connection and like literally interviewing people face to face that way. It would crush everything. Like you don't need to just do it within your community. It could be somebody digitally that's maybe 300 miles away, but is just as powerful because you feel like you're connected with them. There's so much more. We need to launch on Android.
Why limit it to just a room when you have the world, right?
Right, right.
All those
perspectives and cultures, everyone has their different takes and different mantras and different. We're getting a lot out of like having a global community doing this.
You are, I mean, and I know you've got a whole team and everything, but let me tell you what, this app, I really feel when it does catch fire, when it does catch wind, it is going to take the world by storm because I literally can go anywhere in the world. And not that I couldn't call my best friend or my sponsor, but I can take this app and I can do a video and say, you guys, I'm in Jamaica, I'm on vacation. God, this just sucks right now. And I want to have fun. Why can't I have fun? And
why not? Yeah, instead of dealing with those feelings, you can say them out loud. We've been taken on vacation. A wonderful guy named Rick, who's very open about his recovery, took us on vacation to Italy with him. And he was so worried, and he shared how he was not drinking the wine and how he was having a great vacation, and all the struggles in between. And we've got a guy who's going to be going on a cruise next week, and he's going to get the Wi-Fi plan so you can keep checking in. So like, yeah, a recovery community in your pocket, right? You don't need to find meetings on the road. There are people here just waiting to hang out and help.
Oh, it's wonderful. What a great, great app. I am definitely going to be promoting it on my Instagram. But if you're looking for this, it is called Sober Together. And I know for sure it's an Apple. It's also an Android as well, Dan.
It's not on Android yet. That's another thing we need to develop this year.
Okay, so it is on Apple for now, and they are working on developing it for Android. But I highly, highly suggest that you do at least reach out to Dan's Sober Together community on TikTok. I know all of you have TikTok at this point. You can't say you're too old because I'm on it. So, absolutely. Dan, I would really love to potentially reach out to some folks who would love to share their story, share how the app has worked for them. And I definitely want to see this story grow, and let's get the community involved and have them share their story, and let's just grow this thing. This is beautiful. What you've done for us it's nice to have somebody that cares, it's nice to have somebody that really understands. So thank you.
Yeah. love to be part of this community of support. It's incredible and makes my life fulfilled.
Well, good. And we will be in touch, and thank you so much. And I hope that you have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Sherry. Have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of a Sober Girls podcast. I hope that you heard something that resonated with you and that you can take with you for the next week until we meet again. You can find me on Instagram at a Sober Girls Pod. You can also follow me and friends at Sober City Movement on Instagram as well. If you live in the Richmond area, follow me at Sober in Richmond, where we plan local sober meetups. Or if you're just traveling and looking for a friend in the area, there's one of us in almost every city across the continent. Struggling and need help? Just remember that you are not alone. You can reach out to me and any of my friends on Instagram, send us a message. Or if you are in immediate need of help, please search out your sponsor, the closest sober friend, or go online to aa.org to find a meeting that you can attend. There are also Zoom meetings, which you can find on aa.org as well. Have a safe week, and until next time, fam, be well.